I'm not yellow. I take up your gauntlet. Come, Simandan.
What's this? Simandan is here? Where? Is he the man with the coconuts? It'd be interesting to see if he has something to say. Let's hope he doesn't get tired of carrying your baggage. Anyway, hooray! Mr. Sensible has courageously picked up the gauntlet. But I'm not quite sure about MC Toon over there. He made a response video, but I'm not quite sure if he's just talking about the gauntlet on the ground before him, or if he's actually picking it up. We will see. Either way, let round 2 begin! I'll start this off by addressing MC Toon's response. Flat Earther rejects all photos. Please tell me, at what point did I ever say I rejected all photos? I'll tell you now, I never said that. And I don't think utterly misrepresenting the claims and beliefs of the very guy you're trying to persuade is a very good persuasion tactic, especially in an opening statement. That appears to be more of an attempt to burn bridges rather than build them. But I will say, what is accepted is a great opening question, and I think we can find some common ground here. By the dictionary, evidence may include the testimony of witnesses, records, documents, objects, and I do consider photos to be evidence. So, you meeting an astronaut who claimed to have gone to the moon, I do consider that to be evidence. But my claim was that this is a trust me bro statement. Why should we trust him? Well, you claim that he uses that to evangelize, but Joseph Smith used his claim to evangelize as well. And is that enough to persuade you that he was telling the truth? And now I ask you both, MC Toon and Mr. Sensible, do you both agree with me that a personal testimony is a trust me bro statement? Next, as I said, I do consider photos and the negatives they came from to likewise be evidence. But please consider these olden day effects. Do you both agree with me that even original photos and film can be deceiving? And as such, depending upon them is depending upon trust in the photographer that made them. Do you agree with me that photos are a trust me bro statement? MC Toon, I'll be very clear in answering your question here. I can accept photos and personal testimony as evidence. But if you want them to persuade me, I'm going to need some really strong reasons why I should trust them. Now, it was pointed out how in round 1, I did not provide any evidence that we didn't go to the moon. All I did was provide reasons why we shouldn't trust the United States government, and I asked you questions concerning whether or not you agreed with any of those reasons. Please keep in mind here, my objective is to persuade you by means of your own words and beliefs. With that being the case, I started off by attempting to collect your words and beliefs so I could build a case using them, and that is what I continue to do. This is not your typical run-of-the-mill debate. Also, do you agree that the Russell's teapot philosophy applies here? It states that if you want to claim that there's a teapot floating around in space, and all you have is "trust me bro" to go on, the burden of proof lies with the person claiming it is there, or it did happen, not the person dismissing the claim. It states the default position should be dismissal, not acceptance.
What this thought experiment does is it shows that our default position in these situations should be skepticism, should doubt that a teapot exists or a God exists. Here's the quote from Russell to give you a full sense of the scope. If I were to suggest that between the Earth and Mars there is a china teapot revolving around the Sun in an elliptical orbit, nobody would be able to disprove my assertion, provided I were careful to add that the teapot is too small to be revealed, even on our most powerful telescopes.
In other words, a trust me bro statement.
But if I were to go on to say that since my assertion cannot be disproved, it is intolerable presumption on the part of human reason to doubt it, I should rightly be thought to be talking nonsense. If, however, the existence of such a teapot were affirmed in ancient books, taught as sacred truth every Sunday, and instilled into the minds of children at school, hesitation to believe in its existence would become a mark of eccentricity and entitle the doubter to the attentions of a psychiatrist in an enlightened age or of the inquisitor in an earlier time. Russell's point here is that the only reason one accepts God and not the teapot is because one has been indoctrinated, not because there is some substantial argument simply because you can't prove this false.
Since I can't pull out a telescope and see footprints on the moon, am I justified in equating the moon landing with Russell's teapot? Now I want to address some of the responses I got from questions I asked in round 1. Question 1. To believe that the moon landing actually happened, do you agree that it is a huge exhibit of trust in the United States government?
No. Yes, I'm a citizen of the UK, and I fail to see any connection between the moon landings and a trust, or lack of, in the US government.
In that case, do you agree that NASA has a .gov web address because NASA was created by the United States government? And do you agree that all the rockets and equipment that NASA uses is federal property, and that the people who work for NASA are federal employees? If someone shoots me with their gun, I don't blame it on their gun and say, their gun shot me. I say, hey, that guy shot me. And if someone hits me with their fist, I don't blame it on their fist. I say, that person hit me. Now, by definition 4 of the word government, by being considered a national service, I hope you'll agree with me that NASA is just as much the government as the CIA, FBI, FDA, CDC, and other alphabet soup administrations are. Questions 2 and 3. Why do you trust the government so much concerning claims they made during the Nixon era? Do you agree with Professor Dave here? That doesn't sound like a very trustworthy guy.
Yes, President Nixon was an utter crook. But listen to what this guy said on the 25th of May, 1961.
I therefore ask the Congress, above and beyond the increases I have earlier requested for space activities, to provide the funds which are needed to meet the following national goals.
Please note he's just requesting funds here.
First, I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth.
I hope you'll agree with me that requesting funds to do something is entirely different from claiming that something was actually accomplished. Now, I'm not quite sure why you showed this footage. You never made that clear. But it seems like you're implying that you believe the moon landing happened out of trust in JFK. If that is the reason why you believe it happened, please consider this. Project MK Ultra is reported to have begun in 1953 and was carried out by the CIA all throughout the JFK administration. When the CIA's primary focus is providing intelligence for the President and Cabinet of the United States, please don't tell me that JFK was not aware of that. Mr. Sensible, MC Toon, when MK Ultra lasted on record from 1953 all the way through 1973, do you agree with me that it is a humongous blight on the trustworthiness of the United States government throughout that entire time frame? I hope you will also agree with me the Operation Sea Spray and the Tuskegee syphilis experiments both were additional huge violations of government trust in the same time period. Question 4. If you lived in Joseph Smith's day, and he were to walk up to you and look you in the eye and tell you that he saw God the Father and his Son Jesus Christ, would that be enough to convince you that he actually did?
No. I don't think you can equate the claim of some guy who says, I was talking to God and got some gold tablets, which no one ever sees. You can't really equate that with the Apollo moonshot program, or the evidence and the film and the photographs and the samples and everything else that comes with it. Yes, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so far, with regard to the moon landing not happening, you have presented none.
I refer back to what I said earlier in this video about that. Question 5. Please answer me this. Do you agree with me that there is no finish line in the amount of footage that determines whether or not something actually took place? There is no certificate that says, "Congratulations, this is your 5,000th picture," or whatever number. That means your content qualifies as being valid, authentic, and real. It doesn't work like that. No amount of pictures of Cookie Monster will ever make him more than a puppet. Mr. Sensible, I noticed you never answered that question. And MC Toon, I noticed that you did not answer any of my questions. But that's okay. You're not required to answer any of them. Just know that I acknowledge that you skipped it. Or them, in your case, MC Toon. And if you disagree with me on question 5, please let me know how many pictures of Bigfoot you think are required to prove he is real. Not that I believe in Bigfoot. I just want to know what your standard is. Now I want to answer some questions that you asked me.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Do you think that Bart Sibrel regrets making those accusations to Dr. Buzz Aldrin?
No, I don't think you regretted that. If you got a black eye, I think you wore it like a badge of honor. And I've always found it really peculiar how Buzz refused to simply promise that he landed on the moon. He didn't make it an issue of, "I don't feel comfortable with putting my hand on and swearing by your Bible." I know I've been taught in church not to swear on anything, but rather to say yay, yay, or nay, nay. So if that was Buzz's issue, I could understand that. But here Buzz did not even do that. In this case, I think his strong refusal to not answer to the point of hitting the guy strongly implied that Buzz was not allowed to admit that he never went, and that he had to protect both himself and those he cared about. That is what I see anyway. And I consider that to be pretty significant evidence. So thank you for bringing that up.
I have a gauntlet, and I'm issuing a challenge to you. A debate on a neutral, moderated channel such as Modern Day Debates, but you're going to have to bring some positive evidence that we didn't go to the moon, and I'll bring some evidence that we did. The gauntlet is down, Kyle. Are you going to pick it up?
I hereby accept your gauntlet. Although I have to ask, is this just a continuation of this debate? Just changing the location? Or are you changing the terms as well? I really want to hear your responses to the things I've said here. If you want to make your responses and do round 3 over there, sounds great. Either way, I trust that we can keep this like a match between Rocky and Apollo Creed, wherein it will be honorable to the point that we can have an even deeper friendship after the match is over. Rocky and Clubber Lang did not have that. That's why they didn't have an enduring friendship after they fought.
Since your old man ain't got no heart, maybe you'd like to see a real man. I bet you stay up late every night dreaming you had a real man, don't you? I tell you what, bring your pretty little self over to my apartment tonight, and I'll show you a real man. You want it, you got it!
But Mr. Sensible, I like to think of you, for the most part, as my Apollo Creed, so don't disappoint me. With that, the ball is now in your court and I await your serve. This video has been brought to you by the Flat Earth Institute of Science. And here's a playlist containing this entire debate and everyone's full responses. Thank you all for watching.